Just in the race show. It's just in the race show. Just in the race show.
Welcome to the Justin Wade Show. I'm Wade.
And I'm Justin. And we're going to talk about MMA today. MMA.
MMA.
This is something we both enjoy, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't watch it as much as I used to.
That's
I
right.
enjoy
You told me that.
as much as I shouldn't say this. I enjoy violence. So,
You're still enjoying violence, though.
I enjoy violence.
Okay.
I enjoy people taking out their frustrations on each other instead of the rest of the world.
Right.
So,
And in like a fair, combative way.
Yeah. Except, I mean, I don't watch MMA as much as I used to, obviously.
Oh, okay.
When we were hanging out in Hawaii, I was watching it all the time. I knew everything. It just got so big. It's like all sports. I mean, pretty much for me, I don't have time to.
Gotcha. I mean, they do have one almost every single weekend. It's when they skip a weekend, the UFC that is, when they skip a weekend, it's like, oh wow, there's no fights this weekend. I don't get to watch them that much, because I'm always doing other things now. But I do still enjoy checking them out when I get a chance. Still got some favorite fighters out there. I'm going to go on a limb and say this, and I have nothing against him personally. So if he ever does watch this podcast, please forgive me. Don't beat me up. But I always thought GSP was not a great champion. I think when he was building to be a champion, he went out there and gave it his all and tried to finish everybody. But then he realized how good he was at wrestling, and once he became champion, he just controlled the fight for the whole match.
And see, and I don't like, that's when I started to dislike it in general. Same thing for boxing. When you saw guys rising to the top that were playing for points,
right,
instead of like it's a fight. So I understand as it turns more into a sport, then I started to lose more interest because it's like anything, people start bending the rules to, you know what I mean, to make
they're doing enough to control the fight as opposed to actually win the fight. Like it started out to see who was the best fighter, not who was the best wrestler or who was the best controller. Like fights don't last 15 minutes in the real world.
But so, I mean, there are some fights like back in the day because now they definitely pick them up and try to keep it more active and more action. But I mean, there are fights back in the day like Randy Couture and Tim the Maniac.
Sylvia. Yeah. Sylvia something.
Like in real life, in a real fight, if a guy that big is fighting a guy that big, and the only way you can keep him from knocking you out is holding on to him for 15 minutes until he's too tired to move.
Oh, yeah.
That is a real fight still. You know what I mean? Like
the
whole thing about different kinds of fighting is to.
And I think he's a great athlete. I am impressed at how amazing of an athlete he is. I was just disappointed at how he stopped trying to actually beat people per se and just trying to point, like you were saying. I
agree.
And then the other thing, and I don't care if he hears this or not, Mike Bisping. Once again, both these guys can kick my ass easily, so please don't if you see me in the real world. I think Mike Bisping was probably one of the worst champions at 185 in the history. Here's my.
I also think you could watch who you say these things about because GSP is okay. He's probably a nice guy in real life. Even if he heard it, saw you, it's like whatever. Now, Mike Bisping might actually punch you in the mouth.
I don't know. I think Mike Bisping knows he would get in trouble for punching me in the mouth, so he'd probably he's one of those people that seemed like he was
at this
wouldn't. But he won the title at 185, right? And then GSP retired for like 10 years or something like that. GSP was gone forever.
Yeah.
And then GSP at 170 hadn't finished anybody since he beat BJ Penn and just tired him out. He didn't even finish BJ Penn. BJ Penn was just like, I can't continue in the fourth round. I'm so tired and out of shape. But BJ Penn was notorious for being out of shape. So GSP hadn't finished anybody in like 5 or 10 plus years. I don't know how long it was. His reign, he had not knocked anybody out, not submitted anybody. Fights, he comes back after 5 years of retirement, fights Michael Bisping and submits him in the second round at a heavier weight class that he's never fought at. He's never fought at 185. How sad of a champion do you have to be to lose to somebody that's been retired for 5 years, never submitted or knocked somebody out in a weight class 15 pounds lighter, and then lose in 6 minutes? That's just worthless. Plus, he lost to Matt Hamill.
So we are just talking about a random little pocket of MMA that we know about.
Well, I figured
Like our favorite times. Hey, you know what, Justin? Just stop talking about it. That's the end of our show. Thanks for listening. Hit that like and subscribe.